benediction. The benediction, Norman, is God's authoritative announcement of favor and blessing. The benediction. The benediction, Janice, is God's authoritative. That means it is from God himself. Yeah, it's God's authoritative. It is what God has sanctioned in the Holy Bible. It is God's authoritative. It is God saying to us, when you depart, when you are parting from one another, you are separating from one another, God announces a blessing upon you when you've come together in his name. And when you are parting, God himself announces a blessing upon you. The benediction is God's authoritative announcement of blessing and favor. Is there anybody here desire favor from God? Don't fool me now. Don't fool me now. Is there anybody here that wants favor from God? Does anybody want God to look down on you with favor? Well, if that's true, why do you leave before the benediction? Especially since you were the last one to get here. Why is it? Why, especially Baptist folk? Baptist folk come in, and if you don't let them out, they raise that Baptist finger. And they head toward the door, and the usher know that Baptist finger means don't bother me. It will be trouble. Don't tell me about you, no usher. Don't tell me about your job. You can't open this door. I got up this Baptist finger, and I'm on my way out, and you better not stop me. Truth is, people just don't like to wait for the benediction. They really don't care nothing about the benediction. Nobody's ever joined the church because they have good benediction. Can anybody hear me? So nobody ever said, well, I'm going to that church because they have really good benediction. People will join the church, the market study say, if you have good parking, they'll join the church. If you have surround parking and it's convenient for folk to get in and out, the new market study say, folk will quickly come to your church. They'll join church if you have good child care. If you have a child care program where they can leave their children for the next 90 minutes and not be concerned about their children and know their children are being well taken care of, they'll join your church. A lot of them join because of the location. Some folk don't want to go to church in their community because they like to cut up on Friday and Saturday night, and they rather go to church across town. Somebody know what I'm talking about. They don't want folk to know how they get along through the week, husband and wife cussing each other out, fussing and fighting. So they don't go to church in their neighborhood. They go across town where nobody know them. Some people will join the church if they have really good music. If they got the right kind of music, whatever the contemporary style is and form, and they got good uniform music, then some people join the church based on the music. Some will join if they got a real sharp pastor who is a great rhetorician, and he knows how to rhythm and rhyme. He knows how to click in and out, and they will join church to just come see what he's going to wear, how he's going to sound the next Sunday. They come for all kind of reasons, but folk rarely come for the benediction. And the benediction is God's authoritative pronouncement of blessing. Everybody want a blessing, but they don't want to go through what it takes to get the blessing. But what God is saying is when you gather, you ought to stay together until something happens. I wish somebody could pray with me. I said that when you come together, you ought not to come together on your way out. Glory, hallelujah. I mean, there are literally folk who came to church to get out. Can anybody hear me? The first thing they thought about when they came in church is, what time are we going to get out? How long do they have service? Preachers today are called to church not based on their theological training. There was a time in my day, in the 50s and 60s, every pastor was told, you got to go to school. You need to go to college. You need to learn Hebrew. You need to learn Greek. You need to study theology. You got to be able to rightly divide the word. Preachers had to study real hard, but now what folk want to know, not can he rightly divide the word, but is he a good clock manager? Can he make sure we get started on time, everything keep flowing, and we get out properly? I wish somebody could hear me. I mean, there are churches I know that are called mega churches, and they come on the radio and they announce, in by 10, out by 11:15. They announce, in by 9:30, out, by 10:45. It's just something to that thing folk want to know is control. Can you manage the clock? Can you manage the flow of the worship? Can we just know and be in control of when we're going to get out? Folk want to control something. They can't control their children. Help me now, help me. Evidently they can't control their marriage. 57% of all marriages now end in divorce. It's obvious from looking at me, we can't control our weight. Nobody but Reverend Wesley has been the same size. It's just so much we're out of control of. We really, as human beings, day by day, we lose more and more control over everything. As modern technology come in, there was a time, if you was honest and willing to work hard, you could get a job. All you have to do is be just willing to work. You can just go and say, I want a job, I want to work. There ain't nothing to that no more. Everything has electronic control, has computer control, technological control. We're just not in charge of much anymore. And so folk want to know they got control of something, so they seek out churches where they got time control. They know what time they're going to start. They know what time they're going to get out. They just want to get out. The problem with that is that your experience with Christ is not based on anything but execution and not what happened to you while you're there. I wish I had two people to help me. I said, what happens, Janice, is that it all becomes about execution. When the clock is in control, is everything going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out? And it's going to happen that same way every Sunday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out. When I was coming up in church, you didn't know when you was going to get out. If you had 15 deacons, you had 15 prayers. You knew his prayer by heart. You knew his hymn. But he was going to sing it because he had been to work under all kind of pressure and all kinds of stress. He had taken things that he didn't want to take, but he had a daughter in college. He had a pregnant wife. He had a mortgage. He didn't want to be another Negro out there hanging out for our job. He didn't want to be that brother on the corner. I ain't taking that stuff off white folk. I ain't kissing up to no white folk. No, he went on and did what he had to do to keep the job and bring that check home every Friday. Not just I'm the man of the house. I may make some money this week, I may not. No, he went on and took a 40-hour-a-week job and all kind of abuse and being called boy by people 15, 16, 17 years old, taking the worst end of the work, having to work the longest and the hardest on the job. But when he got to church Sunday morning, he could express himself by getting up in front of the church and saying, Father, I stretch my hand to thee. Lord, the help I know. He could get up in front of the church and say, long as I live, where trouble rise, I'll hasten to his throne. He could call on the Lord and tell the Lord his troubles until the whole church got shook up. And the preacher got up, the church was already on fire. He didn't have to warm nobody up. They were already stirred up on the inside. Sometimes you got through and you thought church was about over with. Then some old Negro in the corner back there get up and start hollering, "Got good religion, and I'm so glad, so glad I got good religion, and I'm so glad, you know, my feet been taken out the miry clay." And you think y'all finna get out, but then somebody messed the whole thing up and start calling all day. On a Monday. Now you're in trouble, because that Tuesday Negro ain't going to let him go by. Huh? When they go through all the days, and somebody start hollering, Monday, Monday. So you didn't know what time you was going to get out of church, but you know something happened while you were in church. Now the worst thing to do is come in church and leave the same way you came in. I wish I had some help here. That's the worst thing, is to come in and leave the same way that you came in. You need to be in church until something happens. You shouldn't give the benediction. Well, in the Gospels, both the Synoptic and John, there's a story recorded about Jesus going out to a desert place.
All right.
Can you hear me? And he was followed by a crowd. And the crowd stayed there with him as he taught all day long. And the evening came, and the disciples said to Jesus, "Give the benediction. Dismiss the crowd. Send them away." But Jesus said, "Not now." I wish somebody could hear me. Because ain't nothing happened yet. Not now. One writer said he was moved with compassion because they had been with him all day long and they hadn't got nothing. And Jesus wants you to get something. I wish somebody could help me. I know you used to come into church and say, "You sure preach to them." Well, what about you? You ought to want something. I wish somebody could help me. I said, you ought to want something. Don't let it be every Sunday. He sure told them. He sure told them. No, it ought to be about you sometime or nothing. It ought to be about he preached to you. And Jesus said, listen, don't send them away. Ain't nothing happened. So what you want us to do? So, well, make them sit down in companies of 50s and 100 on the grass.
Yes, sir.
Now, note it was a desert place. But when he said make them sit down, he said sit down on the grass. I wish somebody gonna hear me. Somebody gonna hear me. All I'm saying is you in church, things happening all the time, but ain't nothing happening with you because your eyes ain't open. Ain't nothing happening with you because your ears ain't. I wish somebody could help me. Folk coming into my church ain't what it used to be. Now, you ain't who you ought to be. I'm gonna try it again. You can read it next time you're in Sunday school. Matthew recorded and Luke recorded, John recorded. So listen, make them sit down. Now, it said it was a desert place. You know about deserts, don't you? Ain't nothing in the desert but the sand and the rock. Matter of fact, you out here in the desert. And to make them sit down. But he said make them sit down on the grassy knoll. That means something was happening all the time. But if you didn't have open eyes and open ears, you come to church all closed up and said that. I wish somebody could help me. You can't get nothing, young lady, if you didn't come for nothing. Can I get a witness here? Can I get a witness here? To my church ain't what it used to be. No, you ain't who you ought to be. Well, let me just say it like this. Jesus said it this way. If you hunger and thirst after righteousness, thou shalt be fed. Somebody here know Jesus feed you. When you get up saying, I was glad when they said unto me, let's go into the house of the Lord. If you're glad to come in, glory, hallelujah. The table is set. If you're glad to come in and you're hungry for righteousness, yeah, the food is here. So make them sit down. One writer recorded that Andrew found a boy in their midst. And then this boy had a lunch. That he had 5 barley loaves, hush puppies, and he had 2 little sardines. The Bible said Jesus took it and blessed it. Well, that's just like Jesus. He's able to take a little and make a lot. That if you're willing to put it in the hands of Jesus. Can I get a witness here? As if you're willing to take what you got and put it in the hands of Jesus. He's able to take a little and make a lot. He said that Jesus took it and he lifted it up and blessed it. And then he told his disciples, pass it out. And they started breaking the bread and passing it. And they were breaking bread and passing it. And they were breaking bread and passing it. 5 barley loaves and 2 little fish. And they were breaking bread and passing it. So there were 5,000 men, let alone women and children. But they kept on breaking bread and passing it. And when they got through, they took up 12 baskets of broken bread and smelts. I tell you, when the Lord stops by, things happen. I wish I could get a witness here. Things unexplainable. Things unattainable. Things out of reason. Things that happen when you let the Lord take charge. He said they kept on breaking bread and passing it. Somebody tried to explain the miracle. A man named Harvey Cox said what happened was it wasn't just a little boy that had a lunch. Others had a lunch, but they didn't want to reveal it because there were too many people. But when the Lord took the little lunch, started passing it out, it opened up hearts everywhere, and they discovered they had more than enough. Well, when everybody was fed and the 12 fragments were taken up, Jesus said, now is the time for the benediction. Look at it now. Here he is in Matthew 16:13. So don't dismiss nobody. But in Matthew 16:23, he said, now let the crowd go. It's time that they can go. Well, I got news for you. You ought to stay here until you get your miracle. You got anybody here that came for a miracle? Is there anybody here that got up needing something? Is there anybody here that got up needing something from the Lord? I don't know about you, but when I woke up this morning, children. I don't know how to take care of my children. They're all grown and scattered about. I told the Lord, I need you, Lord. To help my children, help them in their marriage, help them on their job, help them in their lifestyle, keep them every day. Is there anybody here that needs something from the Lord? Well, when you come to church Sunday morning, tell the Lord whatever you need. He's an able God. I got to leave you. I think I've said enough for Sunday morning. But I got one more thing to tell you. It's in the book of Jude. It said, now, unto him who able. Anybody, you got an able God. Anybody, you got an able God. Now, you ought to stay to church until you get the now right. Now unto him who is able to keep you from falling and present you faultless before the Father. And look what else to say. Here's his good pleasure. I like that part. God wants you to get it. God got it for you. He wants you to have it. It's his joy to give you the blessing. Tell God, our Savior. What's his name? His name is Jesus. Anybody here know him? His name is Jesus. Anybody here know him? His name is Jesus. Anybody here know him? His name is Jesus. Alright, Father, I got to leave you. But if you know him, put your arm around somebody. If you know him, put your arm around somebody. Shake him a little, rock him a little. If you know it's Jesus, put your arm around somebody. Shake him a little, rock him a little. Tell him I can't help it. He's been too good to